grilled beef is tasty autofocus. Unfortunately, the only way you can enjoy succulent cow muscle is to buy the most expensive cuts, right?
Wrong.
Let me show you how to take a $20 cut of tri-tip and with a little kitchen magic, turn it into a succulent, unctuous roast that'll feed a family. To begin, we'll need tri-tip. Something around 2.5 to 3 pounds could be fine. Alright, first thing we gotta do is try to remove some of this silver skin here. So, knife under, angle it, finger under there, and why couldn't the butcher just simply trim this off? Simple, he wouldn't be making a profit if he did. Besides, as stated earlier, this is a cheap cut of meat. I'm okay with losing a few specks of meat here and there. Okay, now the beef is trimmed, we're going to do something called dry brining. Now, pay attention, here's what you're going to need. Salt. Yeah, you just need salt. Now, this is a pretty big piece of meat, so be generous with the salt. Next, grab a plate and a cooling rack, purchase link in the description. And place our tri-tip on top. Now, this may not seem like much, but dry brining will not only help flavor it, but keep it moist, but it'll help retain moisture and make it tender. CRD and post-production, can you explain? When you put salt on a raw piece of steak, it pulls out the moisture from within. That moisture then dissolves the salt. And through the power of osmosis, that briny liquid is then reabsorbed into the steak, which also breaks down some of the connective tissue. So not only are you getting a nice tender piece of steak, you're getting a nice flavorful tender piece of steak. Man, I gotta stop being cheap and actually pay for After Effects. Anyway, with that explained, next thing we need to do is take this and stash it in the fridge for 24 hours. Let that dry brine for 24 hours, like I said. Okay, it's been 24 hours, and our tri-tip has been thoroughly dry brined. And yeah, it looks a little drab and gray, kind of looks like a piece of beef got depression. But unlike actual depression, it will get better. We just need to put it in one of these, a smoker. But a few things before we do. One, we gotta monitor the temperature of this, and we're gonna need a probe thermometer. And there's cheap ones on Amazon you can find, or you can use the one I have. The Chef IQ Smart Thermometer. Not sponsored, by the way. Now, you can go with the cheap ones or the expensive ones, but make sure you stick your probe into the thickest cut of the meat right in the center. Okay, next I go into my app and I set it for medium rare. Not quite, though. You see, because this is a big chunk of meat, it's going to still cook even when we take it out of the smoker. That means it's still hot, which means the temperature is still going to rise. It's called carryover heat. And we need to take out a little insurance. Now, medium rare is 130 to 135 Fahrenheit. So what we actually want to do is set it about 8 to 10 degrees below the targeted temperature. I'm actually going to set my thermometer to 125. Okay, it's working subtly now. So let's add it to our smoker. Okay, I set the smoker to 225. I'm smoking over hickory because if I'm going to put it in a smoker, what's the point of not tasting the smoke? All right, and we'll be back when it hits 125. And our tri-tip is done smoking. Yeah, it's not the super unctuous looking thing you saw on the thumbnail. It looks more like a certain orange-faced celebrity. You know who I'm talking about. Snooki from Jersey Shore. I wonder what she's been up to these days. No, actually, I don't want to know what she's been up to these days. Now, I already mentioned this before, but as you can see by my app, the temperature is still rising, so it has yet to hit medium rare. That's called carryover heat. So if you don't want this thing to lose any heat, cover it with foil and wait for the temperature to stop rising. Then we'll move on to our next step. Okay, according to the app, it's done rising. So it is at the perfect medium rare temperature. And sure, it's on the low end, but that's a good thing because we're going to sear it next to get that nice crust. So in a cast iron skillet, let me just set this to high. Next, let's add a high smoke point oil like avocado oil or grapeseed oil. You can use it despite what all those health influencers on TikTok say. I'm working on a video on this stuff. Stay tuned. Okay, let's turn on the hood and place our meat in. 1 or 2 minutes aside until you get a nice crust. Alright, and move it back onto the cutting board. And cover back up with aluminum foil and let it rest. Alright, our tri-tip is done resting. And since he sold out to the algorithm to make Mr. Beast inspired slop, I guess I'll be the one to make the Joshua Wiseman style B-roll. Uh-oh, microphone wasn't plugged in properly. Oh well. Okay, so this piece of beef took 24 hours to make, but was it worth it? I think this reaction says it all. This has been Chase Cuttin Kitchen. I'm CRJ, making cooking fun and meaning it this time.